Welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And welcome to the Ringer Fantasy Football Show, or Draft Show, or whatever we're doing. Ringer NFL Draft Show. After the Super Bowl, we're going to change our name to the NFL Draft Show. So if you like the show but haven't hit follow or subscribe, whatever app you're on, just hit follow or subscribe. The only time we ask is when we change our name, because changing our name, that's something that every other show in the world does, right, Craig?
Yeah, let us know if you've found any other show that does that. Thanks.
Yeah, we're possibly literally the only show in the entire world that changes their name mid-year. That I think everyone else is wrong.
Got to be different, Got to be different. We're kind of changing the game.
Just hit subscribe or follow in case hypothetically you lose track of us and it's kind of confusing. So, just hit that button. And then so we're going to go through, DK, your big board is live at nfldraft.theringer.com.
Woo!
Yeah. And a draft and a mock draft.
This board is fucking huge.
It is huge.
Thank you.
It's large. We got top 32 players. You got your mock draft.
It's a girthy one. Yeah.
It's really awesome. It's the same stuff with our fantasy football guide. So your phone, it looks beautiful. Go check it out on nfldraft.theringer.com. And we're just going to go through. DK, you're the king of comps, and I want to go through my favorite comps that either caught my eye or just was like, what are you talking about with these players? And frankly, the most interesting players on your big board. So we're just going to go through that, and then we have some emails and stuff. But we're going to be in New Orleans for the Super Bowl next week. And again, we cover the whole offseason too. So if you've been listening to us, we cover the whole offseason. You've probably heard me say that by now. But
repetition, it matters.
DK, I want to start with your number one player on your big board in 2025, Travis Hunter, wide receiver and or cornerback from Colorado. Your comp for him is Deion Sanders.
Yeah, there's not a lot of players that have played both sides of the ball to comp Travis Hunter to. So
and one of them's his coach.
This was a little bit of kind of an obvious choice. He's coached by Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is approximately the same size as him. I'd say that's probably like about the reasoning for me comping him to that. Like in terms of receiving, I've said he reminds me a little bit of Justin Jefferson, the way he moves. He's just a bendy. I've seen Garrett Wilson comps thrown out there too. Just a really bendy athlete. Great body control, all that stuff. Tacks the football in the air. And I actually saw this from Daniel Jeremiah that he thinks that Travis Hunter should play receiver full time and then moonlight as a corner, which is, I don't think, the consensus view for most of the people.
Because you think he's a better corner than receiver, correct?
I don't strongly believe that, but I think so. Yeah, I think the question is where's he more valuable to a team? What do you guys even think? What do you think is the more valuable position? What's harder to find? I feel like it's harder to find a really good corner. Like a shutdown corner is harder to find.
Value is an interesting question because everyone says cornerbacks are harder to find, and yet receivers make 50% more. Like the top cornerbacks are making about $21 million, and receivers are approaching 30. So it's kind of kind
of wild, yeah.
So it's despair. It's kind of like that. I mean, the NFL is not like a very liquid market, so you could argue both ways. But the thing that's funny to me about Travis Hunter too is like, Craig, if I had you you're never watched Colorado ever, and I had you watch a Colorado game, and I said, one of these kids is Deion Sanders' son, you'd be like, I bet my life it's Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not, but in many ways, frankly, Travis Hunter has the athleticism that like Shedeur didn't get from Deion. And just to recap, because I think it's easy to kind of gloss over, Travis Hunter won the Biletnikoff Award for the best receiver in college football this year. Also won the Bednarik Award for the best defender in college football this year.
That's kind of wild.
That's kind of crazy. So, yeah, I think that there's two questions. It's like, is he a better prospect as a receiver and cornerback? And then the question as we get closer to the draft is like, okay, but like, what's the plan for this guy? Like, if what is real easier to learn? Because if it's like 51-49 receiver, cornerback, he's better. But it's like 70% going to be easier to be a cornerback, moonlighting as a receiver versus, you know what I mean? It's going to be like the path to like actually teach him that is going to come into it. And I think that's going to be a thing, but I kind of do want to linger on, I feel like we almost haven't talked about how good Travis Hunter is because DK, tell me if I am over my skis here, but when I watch Travis Hunter, I feel like I am watching like of a smaller, but significantly faster DeAndre Hopkins was playing both sides of the ball.
Why do you say that? Is it because of like the body control and the just attacking the football in the air, coming down with passes that he probably shouldn't come down with, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, because I just feel like because he plays both sides of the ball, and also he averaged 113 snaps a game. I think Kadarius Toney hasn't played 113 snaps in like the last like 2 years.
That was unnecessary, but I agree.
Yeah,
fair.
Why is he catching straight?
He's playing every snap. Like he probably has played this data doesn't go back. He's probably played the most snaps this season of any player in the history of college football. So the cardio is crazy, but I think it's like a weird multiplying effect. You know, we talk about Saquon, a great running back with a great offensive line makes him better. playing receiver makes him better at cornerback and vice versa. So a cornerback, it's like, he's not like the greatest route runner as a receiver, but as a cornerback, it's like, oh my God, he does routes better than the receivers sometimes. He does recognize the pass route combinations quicker. Like the football IQ is crazy. And the other side of the ball, as a receiver, I don't want to be dramatic, but I'm like, you could argue he might end up with the best separation skills of all time because he's a cornerback. The whole thing is hand fighting. He knows exactly what the cornerback's trying to do, how to get away with it. Like he is like the football IQ and just the experience, the 10,000 hours of being on both sides of the ball. I feel like his development has accelerated into, I don't know. Maybe I'm blown away by him.
To add on to it, it's like, isn't the joke that corners are just receivers that can't catch? He's going to have awesome hands as a corner.
Right. Yeah.
It's like anytime he's going to get his hands on a ball, most likely is he already, the second he gets drafted, will he have the best hands of any corner in the NFL?
I think you can make that argument. Yeah.
I think it's not even close. I think DK, that's why I think this Deion Sanders comp, I think some people would say, oh, he's his coach. No, he is going to have the best ball skills a cornerback has had since probably Deion Sanders. He would be an above average hands guy as a receiver in the NFL.
The fact that he plays receiver, and I think the fact that he can recognize and anticipate route combinations, he sees, it's like, I just kind of think of, Neo when he sees the Matrix and he starts to be able to read the Matrix instead of looking like a bunch of numbers, he can read it. That's like the way I kind of picture it is how it's like for Travis Hunter, where he sees the formations, he sees the depth of the splits of the receivers, he sees how they're lining up, he sees what they do as the ball is snapped, and it's like he just has like a little bit quicker read and react, anticipate speed than most corners because he's on that side of the field. He's in those offensive meetings. He knows the playbook from the offensive side of the ball. It's just he has that advantage where he can jump on the football a little bit quicker because he knows it that much better, and so. I think the other thing to point out here, and Craig, you've mentioned this several times, but he's like one of the best athletes I've ever seen. He's an incredible athlete. And that's another reason like the Deion Sanders thing works, because Deion was one of the best athletes in, history. And I think, Travis Hunter, he's a little skinnier, I think maybe, but he is just bendy, explosive, twitchy, bouncy, like all the words you can use. He's just like gravity doesn't really apply to him in the same way that it does for other human beings. It feels like.
Yeah, I implore anyone, if you want to see how athletic Travis Hunter is, just Google Travis Hunter dunk and him going through the legs and dunking. I literally, like, there are 20 starting point guards in the NBA that cannot do that.
Yeah,
it's true. He is only, what is he, 6'180"? I mean, he's not big. Yeah.
No, it's insane. I mean, he could probably like win the NBA dunk contest considering how smaller guys get an advantage. But like.
They should put him in there, honestly. It's like it's ridiculous that it's Mac McClung every year. A guy who is not in the NBA. Until...
I know, we get it. They have to pull him up for the G League just to get him in the game. so insane. Emails at ringfantasyfootball@gmail.com for your thoughts and fixes to the dunk contest. I do want to say the last thing on Travis Hunter, my favorite thing, we'll fix it. We're going to fix the NBA in the show. My favorite thing about Travis Hunter was he played the Baylor. And the athleticism is obvious with Travis Hunter. Mm-hmm. I think the impact he could have, and like my fantasy of like, I saw Shohei Ohtani like 5 years ago. Everyone said you can't be a pitcher and a hitter. And I'm like, I just feel like a lot of things people said would never happen have happened. And I watched that Baylor game. And it's
they said we couldn't change our show's name halfway through the year. They said that. We're doing both. This show is kind of the Travis Hunter.
Like Travis Hunter, it might be detrimental to the overall
fantasy and draft,
set,
and we'll change the name. We don't care. We'll play both sides. We're playing 113 snaps a year this show.
So when Baylor was playing Colorado, they were like near the goal line, and Travis Hunter was defending the running back, and he was like right at the 1 yard line, and he realized like he was not going to stop the running back from like making it the extra yard. So he had heels on the goal line, and instead of going for the tackle, he just like Superman punch went right for the ball, knocked it out, knocked the ball out, caused a fumble. And I'm like, that's such a high IQ play. And then later in the game, they did a Hail Mary. Travis Hunter was so much respect from the defense. On the Hail Mary, he took 3 defenders, got a one-on-one on the other side of the ball, and they hit the one-on-one. And I'm like, that's some high school stuff to do a goal line knockout punch. And I'm like, I don't know. So DK, do you like?
He's just a ball player.
Let me ask you a question, DK.
Football player.
He's a ball player.
Playing Jesse.
Let me ask you a question, Daniel. 3 years from now, Travis Hunter's irrelevant in the NFL and a borderline starter. Why?
Injuries?
No. Yeah. Okay, we're not doing that. Like, is there anything about him that you're like, oh, I actually could see it not working out? Or do you feel as confident about him as you did these can't-miss prospects like a Jamar Chase or whoever, or a Saquon Barkley? Are you like, this guy will be good no matter what? Or you're like, there's actually signs that nobody wants to admit that I'm worried about?
I don't think there is anything like that. I would say, and this is maybe going against what I've been saying, is I feel comfortable that he has a floor as a very good receiver at the very least. I think evaluating corner is a very, very hard thing to do. It's not as hard as quarterback, but evaluating cornerback is a really hard thing. I think personally, just because, first of all, look, when you're evaluating corners in college, if you're really good, the other team doesn't really throw at you. We've seen this with like Sauce Gardner. When I was watching Sauce Gardner's college tape, it was like he got targeted like 5 times. You know what I mean? And so if you're really good, they kind of avoid you. And so sometimes that can be a way of like hiding some deficiencies, I guess, or something like that. But I just feel like Travis Hunter, even if he doesn't end up being an elite corner, I think he has a really high floor just as a really good receiver. You know what I mean? And honestly, he's the CB one, the cornerback one in this class. And I think you could make the argument he's the top receiver in this class too. And that's why he's the number 1 prospect. I think that's why any team would be happy to get him. I think the only like question is, where do you play him and how much? I think the hardest part for me to figure it out is, how do you moonlight on defense? I don't really understand like logistically how that works. Like, do you play half the snaps on the outside? Or
well, I think that's the answer though to Craig's question, which is, it's not, if he fails, it's not because of talent. It's because of team. Like, let's say the Giants take him at 3 and they don't have a great vision for how to use him, or Travis Hunter disagrees with it. They're like, let's start your corner and then get your receiver. And he's like, I want to play both. And then like season goes poorly, Dable's fired, and then a new coach comes in and he's like, you're not playing both sides, son. And he's mad. And it's like, that to me is how it happens, is like the wrong or disagree, not aligning on what he wants to be, or not having a good plan for how to do that.
Yeah,
That's
it is
the
interesting.
devil's in the details on that.
It is interesting that the coaching matters a lot for how well he succeeds.
More than any player, than any position player I've ever seen. That's the way it's said. More than any non-quarterback, I think how you coach and who is coaching Travis Hunter matters. So, like, imagine if the Patriots took him. You'd be like, well, you'll be a Hall of Fame cornerback and an irrelevant receiver. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see. Yeah. So, okay, I meant the Belichick Patriots. So, number 2 in your big board, DK, you have pass rusher Abdul Carter from Penn State. Your comp for him is Brian Burns, legendary New York Giant.
Legendary.
Does that move you? Like, does it give you a feeling in your loins?
I think I like Brian Burns more than most people. I think I don't know if most people care about an underrated Brian Burns this year. I think my question is, so I like this comp a lot, and I think it makes sense. Brian Burns, Florida State, Carolina, and then the Giants. I think most people are going to comp Micah Parsons to Abdul Carter because they went to Penn State and wear 11 and got the midriff looking. You know, you look cooler when you pull the jersey up and show your abs.
There's a long history of number 11s for
LeVar Arrington. I think here's my question: what are the differences between Abdul Carter and Micah Parsons?
I think the big thing for me is just his body type is not as thick and well built, like muscular. He's very, I think Abdul Carter he looks slim. Like when you watch him play, he's pretty slim looking. This is why I comped him to Brian Burns. He's just not as filled out. Maybe he will start to get more filled out as he gets into the NFL, put on a little bit of weight. I don't know if he necessarily needs to or not, depending on where they play him, because he played linebacker for the first couple of years of his career, and then they moved him to full-time edge rusher.
His dad wanted him to play linebacker, and Abdul Carter had to like say, I would like to be a pass rusher.
He's like, dude, I'm going to be the first overall pick as a pass rusher. Like,
he had to convince his dad to be like,
he like actually might be the first overall pick. Some people think he's the best player in this class. I think it's a toss-up between him and Hunter. But I mean, and again, the reason he reminds me of Brian Burns is the big question with him coming in was, is he too skinny? And I think Abdul Carter, skinny is not the right word, but he's like a slender build, sinewy build, not super bulky. When I think of Micah Parsons, I think of like a really thick, muscular dude who's just built. And Abdul Carter is slender, explosive, really bendy, really flexible. You see him turn the corner, you can see him duck under blocks, and
he's fast.
It's just like so hard for
super fast.
He's got like a good like Euro step inside counter. It's just really hard for blockers to kind of keep up with him from a speed and agility point of view. And I think he could probably build his frame a little bit up, but I think you wouldn't want to lose too much of that explosiveness because, you know, he's just really twitchy.
He was playing in the college football playoff with basically one arm and still beating every tackle and
best
getting
player in the
sacked.
field.
He's one of those guys that I think, especially in those last few games or whatever, everyone was like, oh yeah, this guy's a dude.
I also figured out the dunk contest while you were talking. When you said Abdul Carter has a Euro step, I don't think everyone forgets, like, some of the best basketball players in the world are defensive ends who would have been in the NBA if they were 5 inches taller. The NFL should do the dunk contest at the Pro Bowl, and the NBA should have a flag football contest.
Yeah, that's fun. Swap sports.
I want to see Jokic play flag football, and then I want to see I want to see an NFL dunk contest.
That's fun. I like that.
Or just a pickup game. Honestly, the NFL All-Star game, it would be so like a competitive basketball game would be better than the NBA All-Star game.
They should just fully swap. They should swap.
Yeah, you really should. All right. There's an idea there. Someone write that down. DK, the number 3 player on your big board, you have Mason Graham, the defensive tackle to Michigan.
Yeah.
Let's see if I got this right. Your comp for him is the Large Hadron Particle Collider.
Which I'm going to be totally honest. I don't exactly know what that is, but it sounds
I believe
like
it's the thing that can create potentially could create a black hole to
It
develop.
could end the Earth.
End the Earth
basically.
and the entire
It's
Milky Way.
smashing particles together at such high speeds that it will like it'll rip the fabric of our dimension in half or something like that. Something crazy.
So why isn't he number 1? If he's going to like fold the
So you
dimension
think
on
Brian
top of
Burns is more powerful than the Large Hadron Particle Collider?
No, not powerful. I think
it's faster.
Better. I don't know.
Defensive interior lineman. I don't know. Maybe he's just not as versatile. Not as many sacks, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, Mason Graham, super explosive, big, thick, like rotund fella. He's like got a big, like barrel chested build kind of guy.
Rotund, like the Hadron. That thing's rotund.
But also,
is there a small Hadron Particle Collider?
There might be. Google that.
Gotta be, right? Like, why would they add the word large? Is that necessary? It's got to be a small one.
No, I think there might be.
That's like there's some animals that are like that. Like there's the lesser prairie chicken and the greater prairie chicken. And I'm like, damn, you're gonna like add a lesser.
Same with flamingos. Lesser flamingo, greater flamingo.
The lesser flamingo,
world's smallest particle
small
accelerator is 54 million times smaller than the Large Hadron Collider.
54 million times smaller?
I have no idea what any of these.
The Hadron Particle Collider is like I think it's like a mile long. It's huge. It's a giant. It's like a subway for like colliding one particle with another particle.
So I feel like I'm giving you a really good idea of the type of player Mason.
Now you need to have a comp later on in the draft that is the small Hadron
Particle Collider.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So why is Mason Graham so much better and or different than other defensive tackles you watched, where you're like other guys get comped to like, oh, you're like, I don't know, even Aaron Donald. You're like you're like the thing that could end the world.
First of all, I would never comp anyone to Aaron Donald. That'd be insulting. But I think he's just twitchier and more agile and explosive, both laterally and going forward. And he's also very good against the run. One of the best run defenders in college football, according to PFF's grading. So he's just a 3-down guy who can collapse a pocket, who can be used on stunts and things like that. Quinnen Williams was a guy that came to mind when I first watched him, and this is another guy.
Quinnen Williams or the Hadron Particle Collider was the toss-up?
You were like, he's more Hadron.
Quinnen Williams is a very good player.
You watched like the sneeze video from Quinnen Williams, and you're like, I'm out.
Do you remember Justin Smith, 49ers defensive end / defensive lineman? That's another guy who's like, you can't really compare anybody to that guy because he was like one of the all-time greats, but just really strong, really explosive. Can be utilized. He can like bound from gap to gap and slice into the pocket. He can go straight through gaps. He can take on blocks. He can do a little bit of everything. He's just kind of one of those guys that is going to up the intensity of a defensive line. And he's just a high floor, high ceiling pass rusher guy who can play on all 3 downs. The golf ball whacker guy. I just, every time I say guy, I'm like, it sounds terrible. He's a really good pass rusher.
Step right up.
See the amazing golf ball whacker guy. Heifetz needs to watch Happy Gilmore a few more times, I feel like.
You should play in the Waterbury Open. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, see right there. Wow, it's quite a drive. How long have you been golfing? Never. It's my first time. All right. We can continue.
Number 4 on your big board, NFLDraft.theringer.com. You have Ashton Jeanty, running back at Boise State, and you compared him to the battle bot named Minotaur.
To be honest with you, I barely know what this is.
I do.
Craig, to be honest with you, I didn't really either. I initially just comped him to a battle bot because I'm like, something that's like low to the ground, tenacious as fuck.
I love battle bots. And I was like, he's like Minotaur.
And so I was talking to Heifetz about it, and Heifetz, little did I know, and little did, if you haven't been following along for a long time, little did you know that he went and reported on BattleBots.
I love
back
BattleBots.
in 2018.
When I was
Heifetz
a kid,
went deep in depth on the BattleBots. So, He was
Battle bots
BattleBots
were really cool. I wish they brought it back.
They're huge. They did bring it back and it didn't work. But BattleBots, it's like 250-pound robots made by like physics teams at like Caltech and all these things, and they compete like UFC. But instead of like UFC, which has like rules that you can hit them, there's like 50-pound hammers and saws come up from the ground, and like there's hammers and blades. It's insane, and they just go to war.
Explain the Minotaur. The Minotaur has like a cylindrical.
It's the most unconventional
grinder thing.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. What do you
call it?
So
it's a spinning drum. So that's the one you don't think about. You're like, oh, hammers and knives, and that makes sense. Minotaur had a spinning drum that was just like it honestly, imagine a cylindrical cheese grater that would spin at 3,000 RPM, and if it hit you, you were fucked. And like literally, it could send 250-pound robots flying across, cracking
I was watching
glass.
the videos. It looked like when Minotaur would hit somebody, it looked like they were getting electrocuted.
Yeah,
and I was like, "What is this? What the fuck is this guy doing? I have no idea what's happening." And then I'm like, "You look closer, it's like, oh my god, it's just got this cylindrical drum on the front that's spinning so fast. Anytime anything touches it, it just goes fucking flying."
And you know who else? You know who else? Every time they get touched, people go flying. Is Ashton Jeanty?
Yeah,
that is honestly, I think Ashton Jeanty. All that Boise State had was like him as the running back, and all they had, every defense they played every single week went in and was like, all right, all we got to do is stop Ashton Jeanty. And then, can I just read you some Ashton Jeanty stats?
Please do.
Ashton Jeanty had 21 touchdowns and 845 yards 845 yards in 4 games.
God.
He had through his first 6
Wait,
games.
He had 21 touchdowns in 4 games?
No, that was wrong. I messed that up.
He had 1,800 plus yards in 4 games.
800. Yeah, that's
845 in 4 games. In the first 6 games of his season, through 6 games, Ashton Jeanty had almost as many yards as the last 2 Heisman-winning running backs combined.
Mm.
And then his EPA per rush at one point during the season would have been the number 2 in the country in EPA per dropback. Do you know how good you have to be as a running back to be better than every quarterback in college football except one? So anyway, DK, what do you think? We talked about this guy like he's like Paul Bunyan in running backs. What is this team that he could go to where you'd be like, oh, that's where he would fit? That's where we could see like him basically have like be one of the best running backs in
he
history.
would literally fit anywhere. It would be awesome if he went to a team with a good offensive line, because then he could really reach his potential. Not that he needs that necessarily, but I just think of, Jahmyr Gibbs going to the Lions is such a perfect natural fit. The way that they can utilize his speed and acceleration and burst in that scheme, and the way that he kind of like takes advantage of that. Obviously, Saquon going to the Eagles, Henry going to the Ravens. I almost hope he kind of falls a little bit in the draft and goes to a good team with a good offensive line. Not saying he's going to go out of the first round, but like into the teens or something like that. But he would literally fit on any team. I don't think he's scheme specific. He can do kind of whatever whatever scheme they want to do. He's so slippery. His acceleration kind of reminded me of Gibbs, and honestly, and I know that he kind of studies Marshawn Lynch, but like his slipperiness and just ability to, like, tacklers just seem to slough off of him. They can't get a hold of him. He's just made out of cement. He has a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. He doesn't run anything like Lynch. Lynch runs herky jerky and crazy and weird. And I was going back and watching some Marshawn Lynch highlights just because I was trying to like remember in my mind like what his gait looked like, and he was just his head's flying all over the place, like moving back and forth. Marshawn Lynch had like the most unique running gait, and I think Jeanty's much smoother and explosive, and his head sits still kind of deal. But guys they just bounce off of him. He has like this very natural ability to absorb and deflect contact. And that's why I think he actually set the record according to PFF. No one's ever broken more tackles in a season than him. And he was like 50 broken tackles over the next closest guy. It was insane.
Again, every defense, every week, they were like, we just have to stop this guy. And I can't, like, they just stacked the box and like, it didn't matter. But yeah, honestly, the only running backs I think that might even be better than him are Adrian Peterson, definitely is a prospect, and Saquon. And I mean, that I've seen,
you guys got the Jeanty has a very unique body style because he's pretty short. I think he's like 5'8",
and he's got a very low to the ground drum on his front.
He's barrel chested. Like his upper body torso is just like huge, and so he's low. He has a low center of gravity, but he's thick as hell. And so I think like that's a great combination, obviously, as a running back. Like frame wise, he reminds me of pre-injury J.K. Dobbins. Super explosive, really thick, low to the ground, jukes and explosiveness kind of combined. So obviously, I think he has a sky high potential. And I don't know what's your favorite team for him to go to? What do you think?
Speaking of J.K. Dobbins, I would love for him to go to the Chargers.
Hell yeah,
that would be incredible with that offensive line and their offensive scheme. And
that would be so fun.
If they really wanted to go for it, you go sign a big wide receiver and then go draft Ashton Jeanty, and then you're really cooking with gas. He has the thing about Jeanty every time I watched him is his balance. Like he can like get hit to the side and stabilize so quickly, like a little bit like Kiera, even though they're completely different, but the same kind of weird balance that Kiera has. Jeanty is like a very powerful version of that.
Gyroscopic balance, baby.
Totally. So you guys don't realize, but also Minotaur really had the contact balance too. Like the battle
Minotaur,
box. Oh my God.
He's playing low to the ground.
Yeah, for
he's
sure.
Like
low to
man
the ground.
every time.
Dude. Tombstone. Battle. One day I'll tell you guys about Battle Boss.
Craig, you should have seen it. I was on the phone with Heifetz and he was just geeking out.
Dude,
he's like, dude, I gotta show you. I gotta show you this video. Hold on.
Was it on? Where did they air those? Was it ever on ESPN for a second?
It used to be on Spike or whatever. Now then it was on Discovery. So the new relaunch was on Discovery, and I wrote this like blog for The Ringer like 6 years ago that was like, oh, like the best YouTube videos, BattleBots. And then BattleBots emailed me and was like, you want to come watch some BattleBots and report on it in person? I was like, he's like, yeah,
fuck
and
yeah,
then,
I do.
Of course I do. And then because when you're like covering the NFL, like I'm a fan of the Giants, but like the main rule of like when you're covering this stuff is you got to be professional. You can't be, you can't be like, oh my God, it's like Lamar or Saquon. With the BattleBots, who gives a shit? I'm like, oh my God, is this Tombstone? And I'm like, oh, look at this robot. That thing goes, dude.
He's never been more starstruck than when he saw the BattleBot.
Oh my God,
Tombstone.
the robot Tombstone has like this 11-pound aluminum 2x4. It's like a brick of aluminum. It's like 11 pounds, and it spins so fast on a lawnmower rotor that the tip of the blade is going faster than an AK-47 round. When it hits, and it like can send a 250-pound robot like flying, shattering to pieces.
Is there a consensus on who the greatest BattleBot of all time is?
Tombstone's up there. It's like, Anderson Silva. I feel like I'm talking about a mix of WWE and Dragon Ball Z to Craig. Like he has no idea what the fuck.
I do remember BattleBots. I remember watching it a few times.
It's fun because it's like, it's nerdy. It's like the people making these things are like, either hobbyists or like students. But like, it's crazy. Like they're like, how do we withstand the 100-pound hammer hitting us with a flamethrower from the air?
Is the BattleBot like championship or belt or whatever it is they have kind of like MMA where like over a long enough period of time like almost everybody's going to lose multiple times? There's going to be very few guys that are just completely dominant.
It's tough. Shit happens, man. Yeah, there's like rules.
It's like you're getting hit hard.
Yeah, no,
like you get caught in the wrong.
Well, it's kind of like Formula One. You got to fix it in like 2 days, so that's tough.
BattleBots are kind of like the adult version of Beyblades.
100,000%. Exactly what it is.
You don't remember Beyblades?
No.
I was too young.
Really? They were like these little spinning tops, but they were kind of designed to like beat up on each other, and you would spin them into like a bowl, and then they would battle against each other and hit one another until one of them fell.
Interesting. Okay.
Number 5, Ted McMillan, our boy T-Mac, DK, receiver. Yeah. You compared him to T. Higgins.
Yeah, and that was I saw that from Dane Brugler, I believe, who pointed that out. I was like, "Ooh, that just makes a lot of sense to me in my mind in terms of the way he moves, the smoothness and fluidity of his athleticism." I think McMillan's slightly thicker, but not like a lot. And
he's like bigger boned than T. Higgins.
He's just built a little bit more hefty or whatever. But yeah, he's got great hands, great at the catch point.
Do you want to put big bone T. Higgins as the comp? We can still edit it. Big bone.
I feel like that gives you the wrong impression though. What is the word I'm looking for? Just built better, just a little bit more rugged,
firmer.
Thick.
I don't know if I'll put that there. But yeah, he good after the catch in terms of if you get him on like a slant, just like T. Higgins, he can run away with it. And I think just like the absurd catches he makes in traffic, arrogant hands to go up and go through traffic and bring the ball down.
Arrogant hands is a great phrase.
Yeah. He's just really tough. He's a really tough receiver with great size. I think the one thing that you'll probably see is he's not going to run. I bet he won't run at the combine or do any of the testing stuff because he might not be like a super elite athlete, but it doesn't matter because his size, his stride length, all that stuff. I think it's very similar to T. Higgins. T. Higgins ran really slow, and people were like, "Oh, this."
Do you remember when Mike Tomlin last season called T. Higgins a goon, but he meant it in the old school, like a Batman's fighting some goons, and it's like, is Ted McMillan a goon?
Yeah, I think so. Craig, I know you really like him, right, Craig?
I love him. I think he's awesome. I don't care about any of that like straight line speed crap. Like if you just watch Ted, he has everything. He's like, he is one of the most agile 6'5" receivers I've ever seen, if not the most agile, maybe other than like Calvin Johnson or something. But he looks like if Mike Evans and T. Higgins had a baby and it was like the 2.0 version of that. I think he kind of like has everything. And even you saying like, oh, maybe he's not like the most athletic. There's like two different types of athletic. There is there's like the test score athletic where the spark score, whatever, where you're like every single drill you're doing, you're a 99 out of 100. But then there's like the game feel athletic. And in terms of that, I think he is also a 99 out of 100.
That'll be like that's the Puka Nacua test or whatever.
Yes.
It's like, how fast are you on the field? Because I think the Rams knew they got a good discount on Puka, in addition to the fact that he had like multiple injuries in college. But he was like, I think they were utilizing his game speed numbers over his overall testing numbers, which were not super impressive. And I mean, that's ultimately all that matters. It's like, how are you moving on a field? How are you moving when you're running routes with all your pads on and your helmet on? Getting off the jam and getting into your route and being tough and strong enough to overcome really grabby corners and things like that at the catch point. I think that's just like what makes T. Higgins so good. And I'm not saying he's not a good athlete. I'm saying he doesn't have elite explosiveness, if that makes sense. It's just like, I think it's just a little different. He's not going to be the type of guy who just beats you with pure speed, but he has enough speed to be really good in the NFL.
So number 6 on your big board, you have offensive tackle Will Campbell at LSU. You compared him to Garrett Bowles, the tackle for the Broncos, or also Sam Big Smooth Perkins. I don't know who that is.
Yeah. This is probably before your generation. Big Smooth. He was a former Seattle Supersonic. I know he played for a couple other teams too, but he was basically like a big man who could shoot threes, and everybody they called him Big Smooth because everything he did was just really sort of easy. It's almost like he was like sleepy. I think they also called him like Sleepy Sam and stuff like that. He's just a chill, relaxed athlete, but he's also really fast and he was shooting threes, and he was like a center shooting threes before.
He was the
his
Sam
time.
Perkins with Jordan on the UNC team. When Jordan made the shot, right?
He did go to. Did he go to UNC?
I actually do.
This is like way.
He went to the Sonics.
Yes,
he was a 4th overall pick in the '84 draft.
Oh wow!
He played for Dallas, Lakers, Sonics, Pacers.
What about Will Campbell reminded you of Sam Perkins?
I was just watching him. I'm like, this guy's so smooth. He's just smooth, and everything he looks is easy. Like all his movements look easy, and that's just like I was immediately just thinking of big smooth Sam Perkins watching him growing up. He was like a lefty, and again, like I said, in those days you didn't see a lot of centers, or like I guess maybe it was a 5 or a 4. I mean, but he's just shooting threes and he's draining them. He was really good.
Do you think we could get wherever Will Campbell goes? Do you think we go to the combine, nickname him Big Smooth, and then whenever he like does anything good, everyone in the stands can be like Smooth?
Sure.
That would work.
We can give it a try. Sam Perkins was 6'9", 235. God, basketball players are built differently.
Certainly.
Defensive ends are just
true aliens. Yeah.
Defensive ends are just people who were 4 inches too short to be in the NBA. That's
DK,
all defensive ends are.
I know that this year is a bit of a down year, right, at tackle compared to guys like Joe Alt last year. Where does Will Campbell in general rank in terms of like how good of a tackle class this is?
I think he's below sort of like the top couple of guys from last year. There's some question marks about his length. There's going to be, he has 32 something inch arms, and is that long enough to play at the tackle spot?
Length
I think
isn't everything.
Some teams, it's how you use it, right? And some teams will probably try him at tackle first, and if he succeeds there, then that's great. But I think there's like some indication he might be better at guard.
I don't want to hear that about someone the Giants might have to take in the top 6. Like the guard thing is like, I feel like once you get to the 10th thing, I'll be like, all right, sure, it might be a guard, whatever. But like, I don't like hearing that about the best tackle in the class. Right.
And I think that's why he's a step below, or like a tier below some of the other elite guys from last year. That being said, I think he's going to be a really good player. It's just a question of, is he like a top 5 guy or more like early teens? I don't know. There's going to be some teams that probably don't like him because of the lack of length, but I think he'll just be like a really good player. It just depends on how much you value it. If he ultimately ends up at guard, like how much do you value that?
10th on your big board, you have Cam Ward, and I'm curious. I feel like before I even ask, like, oh, what are the traits, or whatever, your conference Jordan Love, and I feel like a lot, but especially with these quarterbacks, the Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, there are things that people that are like Rorschach tests that you see it and people can pull different interpretations from the same thing. And I feel like, what are the things with Cam Ward that are like Rorschach tests? Because I feel like it's like the footwork, the throwing motions, the pocket movement, the decision making. Like there's a lot of divisive things with Cam Ward that people take away different stuff, right?
Yeah, I think the reason I comped him to Jordan Love, the reason he reminded me of Jordan Love, number one, big arm, push the ball down the field. He's like a big game hunter, as our buddy Nate Tice likes to call it, like certain quarterbacks, like guys that look for big plays down the field are not afraid to push it into coverage, want to give their receivers a chance to make a play on the ball. So Cam Ward is certainly that. And I think the other thing is just his ability to kind of like keep a play alive in the pocket, keep a play alive when you have pressure in your face, buy an extra beat to get a throw off. I see some of the same things with Jordan Love, and especially like Jordan Love coming out of college was aggressive, good athlete, can move around, can make some plays out of the pocket, can extend plays. But then there are head scratching plays where you're like, okay, you probably shouldn't have thrown that. Like, what were you thinking on that play? And Cam Ward has some of those. So it's just a matter of, do you take the upside that he has, like physical potential in terms of his athleticism, his arm strength, his ability to, you see it over and over and over and over on his tape where he is able to buy an extra second or like even just an extra beat to get the throw off. Even if there's a guy in his face, he'll just step to the right a little bit, like stiff arm him, buy enough time to get the throw off and keep the play alive rather than taking a sack. You know what I mean? And so I think that's a very valuable thing to have in the NFL, having that extra ability to buy one extra beat to get the throw off. That's, I think, one huge thing that makes Mahomes great is, if he has pressure in his face, he can just buy just enough time to get the pass off. It's so frustrating for a defense because he's able to do that. And I think Cam Ward has a little bit of that.
He's also, he's a big boy. I know he's only 6'2",
yeah.
but you can see it. You can feel it when you watch him. Like there is a thickness to him. He is shedding dudes in the pocket, like throwing defensive linemen off of him, Anthony Richardson style. He definitely has just like a lot of brute strength as a quarterback, probably more than most for kind of guys who are more traditionally pocket passers. He's a thick man. He's got a firm build.
Great. He's got a rugged frame is what I like to call those types of guys. Just like big, tough, physical, not going to be easy to take down, not going to be easy to push around. I think of like, he's not nearly as big as Big Ben, but I remember when
I was just about to say Big Ben.
When Big Ben was playing,
wow,
you couldn't take, like when you're sacking him, it just takes a little bit longer to sack him. You know what I mean?
He's
not gonna
little
run away from
Ben.
you.
He's small Ben.
Little Ben.
Is he the small hadron collider?
He's the small hadron collider.
Sure, maybe.
Well, Big Ben was what, 6'5"?
Yeah, he was.
I googled Big Ben size and the clock
Big
came
Ben
up.
was like 280.
I googled Big Ben size.
Big Ben was
How
fat.
tall do you think the clock is?
But Craig, what do you think Big Ben was playing at his heaviest? Like 280, 285?
No, 280.
Dude, I bet he
Well,
was.
he probably lost weight
No.
because it's like Supersize Me, where it's like the muscle turned to fat at one
I
point.
bet you
so
he got to
probably lost
260
weight.
though. That heifer.
Wait, how much do you
I would
think?
love to do some research on that. Get someone who like can tell body comp how heavy he was at his heaviest. I'm just thinking the famous picture of him where he's got like ice packs on both his knees and both his shoulders. You know what I'm talking about? Like late in his career, he's a hefty
Ben
boy.
was one of the funnest quarterbacks to watch.
We always joke that he wasn't any good until he got hit, but actually, I feel like what it was he wasn't any good until whatever he took before the game kind of like, set
That's
in.
why he'd always limp into halftime with some horrific ankle twist and then come out and have a great second quarter.
You're like, what
or second half.
changed? That's crazy. But
I don't think Ward, like stylistically, Ward is not a lot like Big Ben, but just from a point of view of
kind of vibes,
the ability to kind of hold off a pass rusher just long enough to get a pass off. I think that's such a huge advantage because, with the way that pass rushers come, the way that blitzes happen in the NFL, the guys that can extend just an extra beat to get the throw off, keep the play alive. You see that with Josh Allen all the time. That's a huge advantage because, some guys just, when pressure's coming, they will like turtle up and like turn their shoulder and just try and avoid the hit. This guy's not doing that.
No, he got some thickness. When's the last thick quarterback we've had? Who's a thick boy out there in the NFL right now?
Well, Tyreek Hill called Tua fat this year.
Tua's like what is it, the body mass index, BMI? He's probably up there.
We don't have a lot of like quarterbacks with a little bit of a belly. Honestly, Mahomes a little bit.
I was going to say, dude, the good ones have bellies. Mahomes, Levis sucks and Mahomes might do a three-peat. So that should tell you everything you need to know about the bod. But no, I like Cam Ward. I kind of see that Roethlisberger through with Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I like Cam Ward. I think this is going to be a draft period where we pick nits and we pick these guys apart over the process. It's something that we tend to do as you go along in the process. But I want it to be remembered that I like Cam Ward. I think he's a very exciting prospect.
So the other quarterback here, so you have Shedeur Sanders a spot behind Cam Ward on your board. You have him as 11th. Your comp for Shedeur Sanders at Colorado is like if Deion Sanders had a slow son who played quarterback.
This is just like a bit I've been going for several years now. Like last year was, or 2 years ago was Joey Porter Jr. It's like if his
last year was Marvin Harrison Jr.
If Joey Porter Sr. had a really tall son who played corner, Marvin Harrison Jr. last year, James Cook was like if Dalvin Cook had a little brother. I don't know. I think Shedeur Sanders, like the quarterback comp that comes to mind for me when I'm watching him is a guy like Baker Mayfield, where he's a little shorter. I think Shedeur Sanders, so he's listed at 6'2". He was listed at the Colorado spring practice last year, I think at 6'1", and I think that's probably closer to what he is. So he's a little on the short side for the quarterback spot. There's, of course, like, Caleb Williams is 6'1", 6'2". It's not necessarily a deal breaker.
But that's not nothing, because when a quarterback's under 6 feet, we panic. And when a quarterback's 6 feet flat, they're like, well, is he even a first rounder? And then a quarterback's 6'1", we don't even talk about it.
I mean, it's the same thing the same thing in everyday life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If a guy's 5'11", he's like, everything's ruined. If it's 6 foot, he's like, that's okay. And if it's 6'1", he's a giant.
But that was the thing with Caleb Williams, where it's like last year, it's like if Caleb Williams measured at 6 foot flat, all we would have talked about is, can he see over his massive offensive lineman? 6'1", It's like, oh.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. So Shedeur.
What did Caleb Williams measure in at? Hold on.
6'1". But his Shedeur's play style is like that, where he's constantly running out of the back of the pocket, improvising. And like, I think everyone assumes that he's doing, I mean, there's a lot of reasons I wonder if he's doing that. That's another Rorschach test, is why does Shedeur hold onto the ball for so long? And I think the obvious one is the Colorado offensive line sucks. Right. But the other one is like, I don't know, maybe you can't see.
It's one of those things where you can never say that a quarterback, sacks are a quarterback stat in a way, like not 100% of the time, but usually a quarterback's like sack rate and pressure to sack rate will stay relatively, even over the years, despite having different offensive lines, because it's just like a play style type of deal. It's like, are you going to hold on to the ball? Are you going to eat the ball and take a sack instead of try and throw it into a dangerous situation? I think the nice thing about Shedeur, he doesn't turn the ball over hardly at all. His turnover worthy play rate, according to PFF this year, was 1.5%. He is not making dumb throws. And that, I think, for some teams is going to be a massive, massive bonus. The opposite end of the other end, like at the, it's a dual-edged sword or whatever. The other side is he takes a fuckload of sacks. He's taken almost like the most sacks over the last 2 years of almost anybody. It's like up there in the top 5, top 10. So, I mean, one of the biggest, I think, issues with Caleb Williams this year was just a shitload of sacks. Is that going to be a problem for Shedeur at the next level? I don't know, but like, that's something to worry about a little bit.
But Shedeur's taking sacks as a pocket passer, and Caleb was taking sacks as a guy who's much more improvisational,
just like running
creative.
around forever.
Shedeur's trying to do that. I'm so mixed on Shedeur on a bunch of reasons, because I mean, not even talking about all the things I feel like with Deion and how he'll intervene, but even just as a prospect, the sacks. I think I disagree with people on Shedeur's pro. Like, there are things people worry about with Shedeur I'm not as worried about. The arm strength, I feel like it's frankly close to what Joe Burrow had when he was in college, and like Joe Burrow's arm's gotten better since he was in the NFL. Like, you know what I mean? I also think the sacks thing's similar to Burrow as well, where there's different comps. There's different archetypes of quarterbacks. And this is the thing Adam Harstad's talk about, where there's like, how far do you push the ball down the field? How many turnovers do you have? How many sacks do you take? Pick 2. Because it's like Joe Burrow is going to try to push the ball downfield, doesn't want to turn it over, takes a lot of sacks. And then you have like Shedeur's like that. But then some quarterbacks like Jameis, where they're not going to take sacks, they're going to turn it over a lot while trying to push it downfield. Or you're like a check down artist, where like you don't take sacks or turn it over, but you're taking a lot of, like, you're not as many deep shots. Shedeur to me has the Burrow-esque archetype of like a lot of sacks, but in a high IQ way, where it was like, but we're hunting to try to get like net like a plus CV, like we're going to make our way downfield.
He's also accurate in a Burrow-esque way. He can drop the ball into a bucket down the sideline. He can layer passes. In other words, he will change the velocity of his throw to get it over a defender into his receiver's hands. He plays with a lot of. He's a polished passer. You know what I mean? Like, he has, like, I think, a high floor. The problem is, I guess the question you'd have is like, how high of a ceiling does he have, being 6'1", a little over 200 pounds? I maybe he comes in at like 215, and that would be totally fine. I don't know. But I think there's the worry is he a little bit small, and does he have the physical talent to be a Burrow type of player because Burrow is like quite a bit taller.
But that goes back to
so I don't know.
No, that goes back to, again, if you watch Colorado and I was like, pick Deion Sanders' son, you'd be like, it's Travis Hunter because he's not
Right.
that athletic. He's not that fast.
Right.
I think that when
He's got enough. This is why Compton and Baker Mayfield, he kind of reminds me of Baker. He can run around and scoot around and make plays, but he's not super fast.
It's
He's
funny.
kind
I
of
feel
like
like
Brock Purdy thought he was Joe Burrow.
yeah.
It's funny. I feel like the baseline now for quarterback is like they are at the very least a little mobile. There's like no more Matt Ryans. You know what I mean?
It's hard to park and bark, dude.
Yeah.
That's my
Hard to
other
do it.
fear watching
live in that
Shedeur
world.
is I don't want to pretend like I've done the super deep dive already, but from I watched Shedeur pretty close the last couple of years. My fear is that when he plays like Colorado State or like the lesser schools, he really kind of like is good at getting away from the pocket from all the defensive ends and creating the play. But like the small school defensive ends can't catch him. But when he plays like the better schools, like Nebraska, the defensive tackles can catch him. And I'm like a little worried that like
that's the NFL, dude. That's why the jump to the NFL is so hard.
That's
man.
my fear is like when the actual NFL level, I feel like he won't be able to extend the plays as effortlessly against the actual athleticism of like Myles Garrett. Like get ready to learn Myles Garrett, buddy. And so that's my fear is like, what does he become?
That's why the Browns should take him so he doesn't have to deal with that.
Well, let's see if Deion wants him to go there. But yeah.
I think it's just like this is like such a canned cliche boilerplate comment, but where he lands is going to make a difference, obviously, like what type of offense he can run, how much he has to put on his shoulders right away.
How quickly you can get the coach fired so Deion can take the job of either Kevin Stefanski
or
Brian Callahan or Brian
It's wild
Dable.
how the way that you said it was like he's been homeschooled is so that
he's
hit me.
homeschooled.
It's
He's
like
only
wild
played
because
for
he
Deion.
really has only played for Deion.
He played for
going
Deion
back to high school.
5 years in college for Deion across 2 different programs. Deion became a coach to coach him. He took the
wild.
Jackson State job. He took the
It's a
Colorado
red flag.
job.
I mean, let's
3
be
years
honest.
Again, if you are
there is Nepo energy with Shedeur Sanders in a very weird way.
I respect it. You know, he's again Deion Sanders, snowplow parent, moving all the obstacles. If you're Brian Callahan, you draft him, doesn't go well. You're going to get fired. Deion will take your job. Browns, Stefanski, you draft him, doesn't go well. Guess what? Deion's going to take your job. Brian Dable with the Giants, who almost got fired, and then John Mara changed his mind midway through the season. Like. This is loom. Even if it doesn't happen, it's going to loom. It's all Stephen A. Smith's going to talk about on ESPN every day that you guys lose.
I feel like you say snowplow parent, but he's performed on the field.
Yeah, he has performed, but
he's helped elevate what was a bad program. You know what I mean?
That's totally fair.
And his stats are very good. I don't know. It is one of those things where I totally understand where you're coming from, but he also he's proven that he's a good player too.
Shedeur's, he absolutely should be. I do think he's an NFL.
It's not a Bronny situation.
I think he'll have a long quarter. I think he'll have a long. Yeah,
right?
It's not a Bronny James.
I don't know. I don't actually know that much, but I'm guessing it's not a Bronny situation.
No, you're correct. It's not a
Bronny. Bronny should be like doing PR for the team. Like that should have been his career in another world.
Bronny is the only guard to ever get drafted that averaged less than 5 points a game in college.
Yeah, he had like 4 something, and I'm like, I don't know. But
wait, DK, we talked about this with Marvin Harrison Jr. a lot last offseason, and I wonder if it's going to come up again this offseason. But like, I feel like we haven't discussed the name brand value of him being Sanders and him being Deion Sanders.
No, I want to go the other way. If he was named Deion Sanders Jr., would we be like he's automatically #1 pick? We wouldn't be asking if he was over Cam
To be honest, I think they're too inextricable. Like everybody knows. If it was Deion Sanders Jr., yes, that would be even more ridiculous. But Shedeur Sanders, and with Deion being the coach and always being around and they're a package deal, if his name was Mike Jenkins and he was not Deion Sanders' son and he was just a quarterback for Colorado, would he be 11th on your big board?
Yes, I think so. Well, here's the deal.
That's
because
honesty.
I think it goes both ways. Because I think him being Deion Sanders' son is a red flag. Because you get the whole fucking deal with Deion, where it's like, as a team, you're going to be taking this guy with the idea that maybe Deion's coming for your job in a couple of years or whatever.
The Michael Jordan of LeVar
You know what
balls.
I mean? The team that drafted him is also drafting the media circus that goes with him. And so that makes me a little worried about him too. But again, this goes back to what I just said. It's like he helped elevate the Colorado program. His statistics are really good. Like his traits in terms of protecting the football, his accuracy, his poise, his toughness in the pocket, that all is real. But you're right. It's very hard to separate. It is very hard to separate. Maybe he would be a little bit lower if he wasn't named Shedeur Sanders.
I think if Marvin Harrison was Shedeur Harrison, even that would have been like, oh yeah, we'll go behind Neighbors. And I'm like, yeah, I we're close. So the number, you have 9 on your big board. Actually, Tyler Warren, the tight end at Penn State. Let me see if I get this right. You have him compared to the Andy Reid punt pass kick champion.
Yeah. Dude, I was going, we were making a breakout for the show when we were talking about Tyler Warren, and I went back and I was watching some of Tyler Warren's high school highlights, and Carlos pulled some of them up. Dude, he is like literally twice as big as some of the kids he was playing against in high school. It's like the funniest thing ever. I can't get the Andy Reid punt pass.
He probably was twice as big as me for our freshman year.
There's a specific like play, one of the first plays on his huddle highlight reel, where he takes a football, he runs, and the guys chasing him look like children. It truly looks like children are chasing him.
Like those videos of mascots fighting kids.
It's like the videos. That's a great one too. But there's also the videos of like, world famous soccer players that play against like 100 kids at once. Yeah. There's like all those kind of vibes. It's giving that. So anyways, that was I just can't. When I watch Tyler Warren, he just feels larger than life to me. He is a large guy. He's obviously not 6'6", that big 255 to his college opponents, but I just can't get Andy Reid punt pass kick challenge out of my brain when I see this. When I see Tyler Warren like carry the football, or he like can throw the football. He does a little bit of everything for Penn State. He was a wildcat quarterback for them. He would like run the football. He had over 100 yards rushing. So yeah, he's a really fun player.
For those who don't know, there's the Andy Reid punt pass kick. I'm sure this is like the Seattle Fish Toss, like everyone knows. But like the Andy Reid, there's this video they always play of Andy Reid doing punt pass kick for like 11-year-olds. And
he's
Andy Reid
3 times bigger than the kid behind him.
He looks like photoshopped in. Like it looks fake. It looks fake. And they spelled his name wrong. And he's doing punt pass kick. And honestly, he looks like he's 30 years old.
He's like 6'2", 210.
It's actually insane. It's like Game of Thrones when they have like a giant or something there. It's just like it doesn't make sense.
Like they had all these kids in uniforms. They literally must have had to take like one of the actual football team uniforms.
Yeah, he's 6'2", for Andy Reid. That's a real helmet he's wearing.
It's like he looks gigantic. It's hilarious.
DK, before we move off of Tyler Warren, give me a real tight end comp that I can attribute to him.
The real football comp that I was going with, like a Goddard type of player. He's really big, physical, run after the catch. I know the Eagles use Goddard as like one of their top run after the catch guys. They just throw him screens. They spam him screens. He's so good after the catch. He can stiff arm guys. He's extremely athletic, really fast. I think he's not as explosive as like a Taysom Hill.
He's not as explosive as Taysom Hill?
No one's as explosive as Taysom Hill. I would never compare anyone to Taysom Hill.
The Large Hadron Particle Collider?
Yeah. But I mean, the way that they're utilizing him as like a de facto running back. And I misspoke. He had over 215 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns this year.
He set the FBS record for catches by a tight end in a game. And then held the extra point.
17 catches against
17
USC,
catches in a game.
Or something like that.
And then he held the extra point.
He also caught a touchdown in that game after snapping the football, like a center. He's just
sorry, I was snapping. He did not hold the extra point. He snapped the extra point. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, he's just Craig. I think Craig, we were talking about him before. He's just like what did you call him? A wagon?
Wagon.
Yeah, he's a wagon.
Just a wagon. He's great. He's super fun.
So next up here, we have Mykel Williams, pass rusher from Georgia. You have your comp here is the Demogorgon. From
Stranger Things.
You ever watch Stranger Things and think to yourself, man, that guy would really rush the passer.
My God.
The long arms.
So much length and bend.
Yeah. Minus the whole like eat your head with the crazy like face thing. I don't know. That's
you never know where they're going to come from too. It's like you drop back and you're like, are they behind me?
Are they going to come out of the ground? Yeah.
Williams just has a prototypical frame. He's built like a pass rusher, really athletic, really strong.
6'5", 265 hands that go down to his calves.
Yeah, really long arms. He's like worst case scenario, he's a really good run defender for you. But then obviously best case scenario, he's a really good run defender and also is just in a really high, double digit sack type of guy. I think he's the type of player who he played for much of this last season, hurt. He had a high ankle sprain and that really, I think, sapped some of his explosiveness. And he's definitely, I comped him to, I was like thinking, like a Travon Walker type of player the guy who's like really built to be a pass rusher, but the stats don't quite match up to it yet.
The person went first to the Jaguars, and everyone now remembers Trevon Walker's illustrious career as a perfectly above average, serviceable run defending defensive end.
Right. Well, I would say
he's
Walker
good. He's just not
still ascending. He's still going in the right direction. I would say, but yes, like the question then and the question now is the question is like, is that potential worth the first overall pick? Whereas like Aiden Hutchinson came into the NFL and was immediately super productive.
But his arms are shorter though.
Right. So it's just a question of, do you look at the very mid production from Williams at Georgia this year in terms of like his pass rush win rate,
pass rush.
His win rate, his sacks, his pressures are all very mid. Like you don't look at any of his stats and you're like, oh, that's a first round pick. But you look at his traits and his frame and all that stuff, and you're like, oh, this guy could turn into Aldon Smith type of player, and that's exactly what Balke was thinking when he drafted Trevon Walker. So he's built to be an elite pass rusher. I don't think he's gotten there yet. But this is like you see type guys like this go in drafts really high because teams know that they can utilize that athleticism and sort of like develop it.
Hold on, I'm Googling the Demogorgon's measurables. Do we know what that is?
He had really long arms.
He was huge. I mean, Demogorgon, or like the main guy, was probably 40, 50 feet tall.
Well, I was going to say, no, but like I'm on the Stranger Things fandom wiki.
Oh,
No, the Demogorgons can get to the season 1. It says it could be 6 to 10 feet tall. That's a huge range.
Oh, I'm thinking of what is it? The Mind Slayer?
Mind Flayer.
I never finished season 2. Is that the Mind Flayer?
The Mind Flayer is like the gigantic thing in the
spider.
background. Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking of the spider when you said Demogorgon, not the thing on 2 legs. Right?
What is the Mind Flayer?
The Mind Flayer is like top dog in the underworld universe or whatever. The upside down. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you should make the Mind Flayer the thing. Damn.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Mind Flayer's putting up 28 sacks in the season.
Google the Demogorgon. The Demogorgon looks like a pass rusher too, though.
Demogorgon, yeah. Oh, right. He's got the face that opens up like a Venus flytrap.
So what happens when the Demogorgon gets in the Large Hadron Collider, the particle collider? Who wins that?
The particle collider wins, I think.
Yo, you're right, though, DK. Demogorgon has the long wingspan.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy.
This guy's built to rush the
I like
passer.
this comp.
We should get something of Bill Belichick recruiting the Demogorgon. I had a lot of experience.
He would just like shake his head and swear.
I had a lot of success in the NFL. I feel like we're a professional program. We could really, and he's just like,
season 2, he kind of fell off.
Oh my God. Okay, let's see if I can do this next one. The Ohio State receiver, and I've actually, we'll see. Is it Emeka Egbuka? Do I have that correct?
Emeka Egbuka, I think.
Do you not pronounce the G in the last name? It's not Egbuka?
I don't think you pronounce the G.
Okay.
I think it's Emeka Egbuka. And if I'm wrong, we can.
I think it's just like you kind of gloss over the G.
You split the G.
Split the G, like, yeah. So, DK, you compared
Emeka Egbuka.
You compared him to Chris Godwin, which I think is that's high praise.
Right. I would say, first off, for everyone that's like mad at me for doing that comp, I don't think he's quite as explosive as Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin's a super athlete. I think Egbuka is super reliable, professional route runner, great hands, good feel for coming open in the short and intermediate area to run after the catch. He's just a really good pass catcher. He really reminds me of Godwin in the sense that like Godwin, maybe he's not the best number 1 receiver in the NFL. He's not going to be like a number 1, but in an offense with a guy like Mike Evans, he's like an awesome number 2 and might even outproduce the number 1 receiver on the team. In fact, Egbuka is the all-time Ohio State leader in catches, but he was never at any point like the best receiver on his team.
Doesn't that mean he just wasn't good enough to leave?
So he's just Cal Naughton.
Well, I don't think that's.
I know the Ohio State
this is like the same shit that we did
him.
with like Chris Olave. It's like the same shit we do with all these different receivers that stay to their 5th year. Egbuka could have come out and would have been a high pick.
Yeah.
But he just chose to stay.
And Ohio State throw the NFL. It's like Blake Corum going back to Michigan, and then they won the title. It's like,
and guess what? He won a fucking national title. So
yeah,
he's probably happy that he did that. And now he's most likely going to be a first rounder, maybe like a borderline first, second rounder, just because they don't think he has that elite explosiveness. It's kind of the same as like the Ted McMillan conversation. He's not a super twitchy, explosive athlete, but he's just so good. I've seen actually JSN comps. He's kind of in the same mold as like a JSN, really reliable over the middle field, going to get open, going to run after the catch. Not the most explosive, probably not a number 1, but how valuable is having a really good number 2 in the NFL? I think it's really valuable.
Can we just add on this next wide receiver, Luther Burden, the third out of Missouri, the junior? Yeah. And so you have them. How far apart do you have them in your big board here?
I have, let's see.
DK is Luther, you have Luther Burden 24th.
Yep.
And you have Ibuka here you have 15.
Yeah. And I think it's like Luther's upside is probably more exciting. Certainly from an athletic point of view, he's super, super explosive athlete.
Also, Luther Burden the third. It's a pretty sick name.
Yeah.
Burden the third.
I'm kind of obsessed with Luther Burden, and I really want the Steelers to take him. I like him.
That'd be fun.
I like him a lot more than Emeka Ibuka. Luther Burden to me, and I might have Steelers goggles on, kind of looks like Antonio Brown. And he is so shifty with the ball in his hands, so explosive, has like great body control. I just think, I think it's tough because Ibuka, like you said, nothing's going to jump off the page, and maybe I'm getting, I don't know, I'm looking at the shiny quarter on the ground. I'm like, wow.
It's floor versus ceiling.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, Ibuka, like Godwin, that's a good comp.
Like Ibuka will be solid.
Not sexy, but you're right, Craig.
I don't think Ibuka's ever going to be like an alpha number 1.
But man, I think Burden is special and going to be one of those late first round wide receivers that you immediately, like a Justin Jefferson, where it just works out immediately. And you're like, wow, this guy was awesome.
And I think the thing with Burden that's interesting, DK, I'm curious what you think, because like I feel like Burden this season was a weird one for him because Brady Cook, the Missouri quarterback, was like, just had this ankle injury all year, so kind of sucked. I mean,
the offense fell off hard. Yeah.
Offense was awful at Missouri. So it was like Burden's like the whole thing there, but they couldn't get him the ball. That's why you comped to DJ Moore, and I think that's really funny.
It's like it reminded me of DJ Moore playing in like the Bears offenses over the last few years, because it's like you have to scheme up ways to get him to football because
praying to get the ball.
Yeah. But then when he touches the football, you're like, oh, this guy's explosive as hell. It's just a matter of, I don't know. Honestly, it's like I go back and forth with him, Craig. I think, when you watch him, like, ooh, he's an electric mover. The way he moves is electric. But is he going to be like a slot guy in the NFL? Is he going to be the type of player that can like really win as a route runner all the time, be a true number 1, or is he going to be more like a complementary piece? I guess you could ask the same questions about DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore is a number 1. I think he's established himself as that. But I don't know. I think it's just he's just like a little more high variance than Ibuka. I'm guessing a lot of people have Burden ranked over Ibuka in their rankings, but to me, it was just more like a floor versus ceiling type of thing.
I'm in.
He breaks a ton of tackles. He was second in the FBS this year in missed tackles forced. He's the type of running back, the type of receiver that can turn into a running back, where he's like annihilating pursuit angles just faster than the defenders think he is, and he just like runs away from them.
Okay. Go to NFLdraft.thearena.com for DK's full big board. We got a big mock draft there. Let's do some emails. Okay. We were talking earlier this week about which actors could beat up Cam Newton in a fight.
I think I would say the answer is no one.
Well, Lucas sent the only one that I was like, maybe. And I still think it's no, but the only person was maybe. Lucas said maybe Alexander Skarsgård. He's 6'4". Dude. That's the only person who's been like, maybe. And it was like he was convincing in the Northman, got the fight training.
I mean, he is a big, impressive looking athlete, guy.
He's big. I don't think he could, but that was the first one. The other one, David emailed in and threw in Henry Cavill. I was like, no chance. Idris Elba, I'm like, he's 60. No chance.
Elba's 60?
I think he's like 55. He's 53 probably. He's over 50. He's not.
He's 52.
He's 52. No one 52 years old is beating Cam Newton in a fight.
I mean, so how old is that Skarsgård?
Like
50?
40?
No, well, I don't know. But so then he threw a WWE guy.
48. Damn, I didn't realize he was that old.
That's great. All right, I'm wrong. All right, he can't win. So then David emailed in and suggested, what about the WWE actors? John Cena,
John
Dave
Cena
Bautista,
is what I was
The
just
Rock.
going to say.
And I was
we talked about The Rock, but I don't know. I mean,
but that led me. Could they beat him? I don't know. I don't care. That led me
The
to a
Rock played
question.
in the NFL, right? The Rock actually played football.
But that led me to a different question. Cam Newton should 100% go to the WWE or AEW. Like Cam Newton should be a professional wrestler. He was born for it.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, he kind of has that kind of flair that he could probably amp up for WWE crowd. I could see that. He already has the costuming. I don't know what his shtick would be, but it would work.
He's like 100% like he could be like the new Hulk Hogan, or I guess he'd probably be a heel, but like he's just the way he dresses, everything about him just screams WWE. He could do it.
What about the guy who played the Mountain? What's his name?
Well, that was a power.
Like
they just got the strongest man in the world to act. He's not an actor.
I mean, Steven Seagal was not an actor. He was Mike Ovitz's jiu-jitsu instructor, and Mike Ovitz is like, what if I made you a star as a bit?
That's so funny. That's incredible.
That's what I said. Steven Seagal, man. So he's gonna put you in an armbar.
The guy who played the Mountain is oh God, can't pronounce that name.
Halfthor Bjornsson.
Good for you.
Maybe.
How big is he? 6'9".
Who do you think wins in a fight? Ben Roethlisberger at 280 or Cam Newton? Ben Roethlisberger just park and bark.
It depends. Does Ben have like a twisted ankle and a little bit of cortisone?
Yeah. How much is it?
How many
is it
drugs
after
has Ben Roethlisberger on? Substances.
I'm kidding, obviously.
Yeah. This next one is from Annie.
Hey.
First, a lot of people emailed in to say when Craig said the body of Christ should be an apple fritter, they almost drove off the road.
That was good.
You catch me in church tomorrow if they were serving apple fritters.
I'm getting seconds. Getting back in line.
So Annie emailed in and said, Heifetz telling the story of Jackie eating the church wafer off the ground reminded me of my father. Annie says, my dad went to an all-boys Catholic school, and they had to go to mass every day as altar boys. And apparently at the end of every month, there was a massive, massive surplus of the body of Christ. And it was it was sacrilegious to like throw away the body of Christ.
Yeah, you don't do that.
So the altar boys had to eat all of the remaining wafers, literally hundreds of them, sleeves of them. And so they would take a couple cans of Cheese Whiz and just made cheese and cracker sandwiches with the body of Christ.
That's what God intended. That's what he wanted. That's what our Lord and Savior wanted, was for altar boys to just spray a bunch of fucking cheese whiz on crackers so they don't disrespect the Lord.
My God, that's what Jesus had in mind when he started that ritual. Yeah.
You couldn't even transform the ingredient like in Chopped. Maybe blend them up, make a powder or a crust.
They can't send these like body of Christ leftovers to like a food bank or something. They make these altar boys.
When you put it like that,
God, that seems ridiculous.
I need to see some transformation of the ingredients. Maybe a body of Christ dusted chicken. I don't know.
DK says fried chicken's no good.
Yeah, before we got on the pod, something came up about fried chicken, and DK says like, "Oh, I don't like fried chicken," and then
it's not my favorite.
I asked if he
liked fried foods.
He doesn't like chicken tenders.
You're like, oh, fried chicken, it affects my teeth. And I'm like, I
get like a weird, like when I'm eating like a fried chicken sandwich, it like hurts my teeth for some reason. I don't know why.
Do you like candy?
Some candy.
Does that hurt your teeth?
Chocolate.
So there's something
not
about
in the same way.
So like, because I actually sometimes if I eat candy, like I can like feel my molars screaming for help.
It's exactly what my
fried chicken. I've never heard that.
I don't know why that is. It's something I experience. I would say I don't hate chicken tenders. It's just not something I would like be excited to order. I like chicken.
Like if you were drunk and somebody was like, "Would you like some chicken tenders?" You would say,
I probably would eat that. Yeah.
Okay.
If I was drunk. If I have something to dip it in, I'm not eating it.
But that's just because you're like 42 and we can't eat chicken tenders like sober all the time now. But when you were like 23, you wouldn't just like rip a chicken tender. 14.
Probably. No. Yeah. It's probably partly due to my age, and I'm just like, I don't know. Fried food makes me feel like shit. If I'm going to eat fried food, I'm going to eat a donut, not chicken. I don't know. That's just how I am.
See, I'd rather have a chicken tender.
I have, as you know, weird flavor palette. I'm not as crazy as Kai, but
can I admit a fried food that everybody loves, and it's for some reason it hasn't quite connected. I won't ever order it if it's available. I don't think they're bad by any means. It's totally fine. But for some reason, tater tots have never done it for me.
Oh, 100%. Tater tots are the most overrated starch.
See, they're fried too.
Yeah.
I think I get the same tooth pain when I eat tater tots, Craig.
What is this tooth pain? That wasn't factoring in my equation.
I don't know. It's like it's when you start chewing them. It's in the back. It's like in your molars.
Do you think you need to go to the
filling
dentist
or something gets hurt? I don't know.
When's the last time you went to a dentist?
Heifetz, maybe you could ask your dad.
I will.
I go to the dentist every 6 months.
Tater tots are like liquid potato inside. Like I don't think tater tots should hurt your molars.
No,
No,
tater tots.
it's the fried stuff on the outside that hurts.
But tater tots are not nearly as fried as a chicken tender or like fried chicken sandwich or anything.
Right.
That is really breaded and truly
tater
deep
tots-
fried.
Tater tots are just, I don't know. I feel like I have to lather them and like tater tots don't do anything for me. They don't make me feel anything. It's like 80% fry, and yet I still don't get. I
don't
get
know.
Nothing
Maybe,
I want. They leave me.
I just
wanting.
feel like fried foods is it's like really dry and salty or something like that. I don't know. I don't like it. It just makes me like thirsty.
Well, yeah, that's.
But I will say, like, it's not like I don't like any fried foods. I love French fries. French fries are fucking good. There's a lot of fried foods that are good. Donuts are fucking good. I just don't particularly love fried chicken.
What about like a chicken wing?
A chicken wing? No, not really. Like if I'm gonna go get like a fried, like a KFC bucket of fried chicken, I'm not doing that. I think it's too dry. But I'm also probably not eating the right fried chicken, to be totally honest. You know, KFC is not necessarily.
Is that where
tip top? But like even when I've gone to nice restaurants and get like a fried chicken something, not that nice restaurants.
I was gonna say,
chicken.
I feel like that's like the threes and
like,
layups. We're going more mid range with the fried chicken.
I'm saying like if you go to like, you know, some of these like I don't know, modern American food restaurants that are doing some spin on something, you eat like a fried something. I just don't like it as much.
The next time you're in LA, we'll go to a place called Howlin' Ray's. They make a fantastic fried chicken sandwich.
Yeah,
and we'll see how you feel.
I
about
think
that.
that's the right move. So
for Austin said that per dentist, fried foods are a top 10 food that hurts your teeth. But that's
that's like over time. You're talking about
like damages your teeth.
You're talking about physical pain while eating fried food.
It's just a weird thing I get. I don't know.
All right.
Interesting.
Maybe my body is like, don't consume this.
You might have a serious medical condition we don't know about. Who knows?
We actually, do you want to have hear an email we have? We actually have an email about a serious medical condition.
Oh, sure.
That I have?
Well, someone else, but maybe you have it too. This is from Andrew. Andrew says, I have a gastromedical condition that has a medication that is constantly being shown during NFL broadcasts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My grandma, of all people, was watching a football game and said, I should ask my doctor about this medication. So during my next doctor appointment, I did, in fact, ask my doctor about this medication. And my doctor said, in the most annoyed tone you could imagine, I'm picturing the guy from The Hangover, that doctor. And the doctor says, you are the third guy in his 20s this week to ask me about this medication. Let me guess. You saw the commercial while you're at a bar and you Googled it drunk in the Uber on the way home. How about you cut back on the Coors Light before you consider a change in your medication?
Fair.
Do we know what is the medication?
I did not follow up on the specific medication.
So wait, he doesn't have the medical condition, or he thought he had?
No, he had the medical condition that he just, if you have this, you should ask about this drug. And the doctor was like, you're an alcoholic.
And the doctor was like,
so anyway, so Andrew says, do not ask your doctor about the medications on television. They're probably going to be really mad you did it.
This doctor sounds like he sucks. This poor kid, Andrew, has a gastromedical.
What kind of bedside manner is
like
this?
Seriously. I have a gastromedical condition. And I would be curious what that drug is.
I'll follow up with Andrew.
Yeah, Craig, email this guy.
I have eosinophilic esophagitis. If anybody has that and you have remedies, email me.
How do you say it again?
Eosinophilic esophagitis, which sounds a lot worse than it is, although it does kind of suck. It's basically white blood cells on your esophagus. Certain foods aggravate it. Fried foods. I don't eat a lot of fried foods anymore because they aggravate it and make your throat close up and you have trouble swallowing dry foods and things. I can't have raw fish anymore. I used to. But yeah, if anybody's got EOE, hit me up.
This is like going to be the new like medical Reddit.
Everybody has like GERD now. Like
GERD?
Yeah, GERD.
What's GERD?
Is that like the new gout? What's
GERD?
GERD
is
surprising amount of my friends have gout, by the way.
Yeah. GERD is it's basically
an epidemic right now.
Email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com if one you can help Craig with eosinophilic esophagitis. If I could pronounce that, that'd be what an upset.
GERD is basically like intense acid reflux. It's gastroesophageal reflux disease, and acid reflux, GERD, EOE, all that stuff is skyrocketing amongst young people.
It's the plastic.
It's 100% our diets.
Microplastics. I don't know.
Yeah, email us the weird conditions you and your friends have that you had never heard of and couldn't explain to your parents. Craig's like, I have white blood cells in my esophagus, and was like nodding along, and I'm like, the fuck does that mean?
This guy's crazy. You're gonna spin off this planet. Yeah, Austin just sent us a stat. 20% of people have GERD. I'm telling you, it is very, very common.
Oh, so they've expanded the definition, so more people have it now because they like it. I mean, I'm sure, like they must have expanded the definition.
Or maybe
of this,
they
if
just
20% of people have it.
diagnose people with this disease.
Eosinophilic esophagitis. 1 in 1,000 people have it. Wow.
You're special. We've been telling
Austin
you that.
says bad beat.
Sucks
Do
to
you
be
think
me.
that's where you get all
Bad
the
beat,
impressions
Craig.
from when you pull back and do JFK or Gus Johnson or Brady? It's actually the white blood cells are talking.
Probably, yeah. That's my gift. It's
Yeah.
the give and take.
Craig, have we heard an RFK Jr. impression from you? Good God. I'm listening to the confirmation hearings. His voice is really something.
No one else
Should I-
sounds like that.
I know, it's really hard.
I really like Luther Burden III out of Missouri.
Oh my God.
He reminds me of DJ Moore.
Oh my God.
Wow, that hurt.
No, it's good. Keep going.
That's pretty good.
Mykel Williams kind of reminds me of the Demogorgon.
Whew.
Oh my God.
That's tough. That's strenuous on
Now
the
that
body.
Craig, that's like extremely good. I'm very impressed. You just got to add in just a touch of it. Sounds like you're about to cry. Like you're on the verge of crying.
Like the Vince
I'll work that
McMahon
in
meme.
next time.
Just a sprinkle of that.
Freaked out that you just kind of pulled that out.
That was
Yeah,
actually
you do that.
really good. Have you
That
ever
was more
practiced that?
impressive than the others.
Dude, what the fuck?
It's honestly less of an impression and more just like, can you fucking stop oxygen from going in your brain every other second while speaking?
Oh my Lord.
Oh my God.
New impression just dropped, everyone. RFK Jr.
Please,
All right.
please don't make me do that anymore.
Yeah. All right. On that note, thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. Thank you to Craig's white blood cells for that incredible impression. Thank you to Kai. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, everyone, for emailing in at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Tell us about whatever. I don't know. Tell us about your medical conditions if they're.
Yeah, we're here to listen.
Yeah, sure. We'll listen. And if anyone can help him, Craig, with the white blood cells, he'll lose the impressions, but probably can eat fish
I hear
again.
peppermint is supposed to be good. I drink peppermint tea.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Email us. Yeah, thoughts on Demogorgon versus Mind Flayer. Email us whatever, man. Other
How to
comps,
fix
yeah.
the dunk contest.
How to fix the dunk contest. The NFL should just have an all-star game. It should be basketball.
Ooh, they should do the
Pro
dunk
Bowl.
contest at the Pro Bowl.
It should be dunk contest and
Ooh.
like a basketball game, like
Well,
an
'cause
actual
wait.
pickup game.
When is the All-Star break? We're close.
It's close. It's like February 20th. If they move
They
the
should
Super
make it
Bowl
the
back-
same weekend. How
They
cool
should.
would that be?
Yeah, it's like the NFL. Imagine if the NFL players beat the NBA
The
players.
crossover event we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
The defense would be so much more physical. Like, it'd be unbelievable. So they can't shoot. None of the NFL players can shoot, though. Don't tell them I said that, but they can't shoot. Everything else they're really good at. Thank you, Lord.
Lord.
Thank you, Bad Bunny.
NFLdraft.theringer.com.
Bad
Bad
Bunny.
Bunny's there.
You like Bad Bunny?
I wouldn't say I'm like a huge listener, but of the stuff I have heard, I like a lot. Yeah,
Yeah. He just came out with a new album, right?
Oh, he did?
I think he did.
Or I don't know, recently-ish.
Dude, Bad Bunny just showing up in that Brad Pitt movie, Bullet Train, was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. That was random.
That was
he dies.
amazing.
Yeah.
God, Craig, freaking
No, that
How-
movie
how
came
could
out
you?
2 years ago. It's fucking fine.
Craig.
It's fine.
Craig,
Spoiler
the guy who walked
culture
out,
is different now.
the guy
Spoilers
who
are
walked
different.
out of his professor's class.
He is
because he's giving
that
away-
guy. Okay, it couldn't be more different. One,
Okay,
this movie
explain-
is
first of all,
this movie.
explain what happened.
Okay,
first,
hold
for
on.
for the people that didn't listen to that.
In college, I was in some class. It was like 200 people in the classroom. The professor asks how many students in the class have not seen Sixth Sense. Maybe 20 kids raise their hand, and then he spoils the movie for everybody, which I guess I won't do right now because then I'd be doing what he did.
It was 25 years ago.
It was. So anyway, he spoils that movie. I was very upset. And then he tried to spoil Fight Club for me, but I left before he did.
Good.
Walked out.
That one matters.
That one matters. But yeah, Bad Bunny dying in like the first 20 minutes of fucking
I'm kidding.
Bullet Train. But yeah, that movie is inconsequential, as is Bad Bunny. That in
Bullet
the
Train
movie
was good.
It was good. But, would you
like
say it's an
fun.
important film in American culture?
No, I'm not saying his death doesn't really matter to the plot. It's just cool he kind of shows up.
Yeah, totally,
fun.
100%. But yeah,
Bad
it's
Bunny.
not the same as him
What is
spoiling the
important about it? I
greatest
don't even know what
twist
that
in movie
means anymore.
history. What's up?
I don't even know what that means anymore. Is it a movie important in American culture? I'm like, I don't even know how to answer that.
Barbie is important. Oppenheimer's probably important. Barbenheimer's important. What else?
Okay.
Top Gun
So those
Maverick
two
was
movies.
important, I would say.
Why?
Brought everyone open the movies.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's true.
Saved movie theaters post COVID.
Oh, I'll accept that.
I don't know. It's hard. I guess I got to think of movies that didn't make $1 billion and be like, are there any of those important? Those you need time. You got to see how they resonate. You know, It's hard. The difference now is I feel like the rewatchables, Bill and Sean and them grew up on cable watching movies, right? Obviously. You don't, like, movies don't just pop up in front of your face.
You have to
anymore.
go find them.
No,
Yeah.
TV became what movies were.
It used to be
They
like,
switched
oh,
spots.
Before Sunrise is on, I remember, oh, what's that again? And then you're like, oh, man, that's such a good movie. Any movie that came out in like 2018 or something, like it's not just popping up anymore
Well,
anywhere.
Streaming changed. You used to rewatch movies, but now it's like you rewatch TV. Like
Yeah,
like
you
people
just
started
throw on The
rewatching
Office and then go about your
100
day.
Times. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to actually be very hard there's going to be a lot of movies that we love and remember. I'll look back and be like, oh, The Menu. That was a random movie that I really liked. But I'm not going to rewatch it probably. One, because there's too many options of new shit coming out. And also, The Menu's never going to be on TNT in front of my face when I'm channel surfing. It's just hard. It sucks. Anyway, They all die at the end of The Menu. Except a couple people.
This is a good bit just spoiling like random movies.
Yeah. The Menu's great.
We're
Mark
also
Mylod
skating
directed it.
dangerously close to one of your best hot takes that you still have in the chamber.
Yeah, I know. I want to hope.
Save it. We'll
Saving
save it.
it.
We'll
I
keep
keep
it in the Jack Sparrow. We'll keep it the gun full.
Look, I'm doing the Lord's work trying to get Hottest Take back off the ground at this company, but I don't know why we're not.
Greg
launching
does
it.
have a heater in the chamber.
I got I have the only Hottest Take that we taped that they never ran because it was too hot. Which I probably shouldn't say.
Shit, do I know it?
My episode of the Hottest Take was the last one that posted before COVID happened, and then they were like, "I guess this is too serious to have like hot takes."
Was yours
So
about
then-
chicken wings? No.
No, well, I had Girl Scout cookies suck.
Not like fried chicken.
Oh, Girl Scout.
I said Girl Scout cookies are bad, and that one was
That's
like
a bad
they had a
take.
deal on Delta Airlines that was like Hottest Take was high up, but then my episode was at the top for like a year because they didn't post it for a year. So
Just
then I
by
kept hearing
default.
anyone had a friend who had a Delta flight, if anyone like clicked a certain button, they were like, "You hate Girl Scouts? What the fuck?" And then I would know they had just gotten off a Delta flight.
I think it's a good take. I don't agree with it, but I think it's a good take.
Here's my thing. They're not bad. All cookies are good. They're cookies. It's like all pizza is good. It's pizza. But like, they're not good. What you're buying is the guilt-free ability to eat a cookie as an adult. Be like, I'm eating these cookies because I'm a good person. I'm buying these cookies because I'm a good person. You can't buy Chips Ahoy as a 41-year-old person and be like, yeah, I'm going to eat this whole thing. It's fine. Like, you can't do that. And you're like, it's a social network.
Can't
It's like,
buy 6 boxes of
yeah,
Chips
you can't
Ahoy.
just buy. It just feels fun to be an
Yeah.
adult and pay cookies. You're like, yeah, kids, it's for you. It's for you. No, it's for you. And they're taking the guilt off you. And if they were actually good enough that you wanted to eat them independent of the Girl Scouts and the guilt, they would be available year round. And they're not because the market couldn't support that.
Is this a hot take or is this just an explanation of why Girl Scout cookies sell the way they sell?
Do you know how offended people get when I say this? Like, do you know how many emails we're going to get being like, how dare you? And I'm like,
I don't agree with you that they're not good enough to be on a shelf. I do think Thin Mints are better than the average cookie in a grocery store.
that's fair. But like
Yeah, I think they're
overall,
good
Girl Scout
cookies.
cookies are like, they're not actually good on the standard of cookies. If you grade them on the curve of how good cookies are, it's like Chips Ahoy are good because they're cookies.
But don't you think on the scale of like not freshly baked cookies, like preserved store-bought shelf cookies, they're in the upper echelon?
No. I love chocolate and
think-
peanut
I
butter.
agree, Craig.
Tagalongs weren't even good till they fixed the thing 2 years ago, but it's like chocolate peanut butter. It's not bad. It's amazing. It's chocolate
What is
peanut
your
butter. It's not
favorite, like
good.
what to you is an elite store-bought cookie? Not
Oh,
the
man.
bakery of the grocery store. I'm talking like in
He's
a
about to
bag
show his
on the
ass
shelf.
Right here. Yeah.
I would say if you like them
Like Tate's?
crispy, Tate's are like if you like that kind of cookie with like you want it to snap, if you want to snap.
They're
with the
very
cookie,
crumbly.
Tate's. And then, I mean, not to be a corporate shill, but dude, Oreos, please. I know that's not what we're talking about.
Oreos
Like,
are
Oreo's barely a cookie. I don't even know what the fuck.
I don't know
an
what
Oreo
it is. They say it's a
It
sandwich.
can't have
Oreos
a
are
cream
their own
filling. I'm saying
category.
like a cookie. Like a Thin Mint is a cookie.
I'm going
You
to
know
say it. Keebler Elf cookies are really
Dude,
good.
yeah, those still hit. Yeah.
Yeah, those are
There's-
solid.
It's the same thing though. It's like a sandwich cookie.
You know what I
There's,
really like?
The circle ones with like the
The drizzle.
yeah, those are good. And then there's also a bunch of Keebler Elf cookies that have like the chocolate on the inside. I can't even fucking remember what they're called.
You know what ones I fucking love? Store bought in a bag.
EF Keebler? No, EL Fudge? EL Fudge.
EL
Dude,
Fudge is
I'm
my
beginning
father.
of Elf when they're like, oh yeah, the ovens in the old oak tree. Yeah, that was gonna burn down.
Dude, the Mother's animal cookies with the frosting on them
Mother's
in the pink
animal
bag
cookies.
are like my entire childhood. I love those.
I've
to
never
death.
seen these.
Oh, really?
What are these?
Oh my God, they're so good. DK, do you know about these?
Oh,
What
I
are they
Googled
called?
these. Reese's knocked these off. They're amazing. Reese's made chocolate peanut butter animal cookies, and I think these are a
interesting.
knockoff of what you're talking about.
DK, search Mother's Animal Cookies.
Wow,
It's
those
a
look
pink bag. They're
unbelievable.
so good. I haven't had them in a long time. But
Damn.
Oh yeah, we have these at home.
I've
they're
never
so
seen
good.
that.
Calvin
best.
loves these. Calvin loves these.
Yeah, those are
These are not my jam. I really like chocolate stuff.
Mm.
So, but like the EL fudge, all the Keebler Elf cookies are, to
I
me,
love
that's
Keebler
like,
Elves.
can life get better than eating those?
Wow.
But that's
Email us
probably
your
like,
thoughts on Girl Scout cookies.
it's like a
and the best
nostalgia
sandwich
thing for my
cookies.
childhood, probably more, you know?
Yeah.
I used to have, my parents used to stock a bunch of EL fudge and like different Keebler Elf cookies. And my friends would just come over just to eat the cookies.
Do you remember the wafers that had
They didn't
chocolate
even
in the
like
middle?
me. They
Remember the
just
two
came over.
wafers with the chocolate cream in the between?
Yeah, that's the EL fudge. Look it up.
They were wafers? I thought EL fudge was more of like a baked cookie, like a
Well, I'm seeing EL fudge or the wafers with the chocolate inside. And then I know what you're talking about, Craig. There's like another one that has like the chocolate inside that's really good.
I was going to say I don't love the chocolate wafers with the chocolate.
I don't love
inside.
the wafers.
The
I don't love
wafers.
the wafers.
I
I
like
don't.
them.
I need
I
more
don't care
body.
for the wafers.
I don't. I need some more body. Anyway,
There was a Keebler ones that had like fudge on the inside, and I don't know what happened to those, but they're the best.
you know those tubes. How do you pronounce this word? Purulines. You know those? Where they're like
Purulines?
you know the long sticks, the chocolate
Pocky?
swirl throughout them.
I don't know.
Pyralines.
It's hard to. It's like Pirouline. Puruline.
Oh
No.
yeah,
Those are good.
those are all right. Those are like Pocky basically.
We
Italian
could do an
Pocky.
hour of just Googling cookies and be like, you know those? Those are
Dude.
pretty good.
I'm just on Walmart's page right now, just looking at cookies.
Damn.
Like the three kids sitting around the table. The meme of just like, do you like cookies? I like cookies.
Yeah.
Fucking cookies.
Those are good. Yeah.
All right, goodbye everyone.